Howdy, my name is Reagan Sims, and I will be presenting the topic of climate change effects on Apis mellifera and how it affects their foraging activity. So to start, how does an increase in average temperature affect the duration of foraging trips? So foraging activity is a crucial function of the honeybee hive. These behaviors are crucial to not only their way of life, but to our crops, as well as being responsible for the pollination of the food we grow. One of the most notable behaviors in foraging is the waggle dance, which is used to communicate to other workers regarding directions and quality of the food that the workers have found in order to relay it back to the hive. However, foraging is based on certain climate conditions. Things such as temperature, humidity, and even wind can change up their patterns. So one of the first effects that I wanted to talk about was heat stress, which can cause reduced foraging time. So optimal foraging activity for Apis mellifera occurs around 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. This range allows for a positive heat balance during flight. Anything below 50 degrees and anything above 100 degrees Fahrenheit can greatly hinder their ability to maintain this heat balance. With rising global temperatures and other climate patterns can heavily alter foraging patterns. Some include phenological mismatches, which is when the workers cannot adequately discover the new blooming of the flowers within the new season, and therefore it reduces or limits the ability to find new food or better quality of food. Higher temperatures that limit activity until cooler periods. So this can mean that the workers can only be able to forage in the evenings, which can limit productivity and overall product as a whole. And then habitat degradation. So the figure I have shows two groups within a study, a control group and one exposed to the stressors. Bees in both groups were observed on their exiting and entering of the hive between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It did show a slight difference between going during the cooler periods of time versus when it was higher in the day or in the middle of the day and the temperatures were much higher. Another thing is the physical effects that this climate change can have on the hive, the main one being wing shape and body size. So with the risk of temperatures becoming elevated, it would not only affect the foraging time and productivity, but it can also physically affect the body size and wing shape in male honeybees specifically. Due to the climate extremes that can limit a worker's pollen capturing activity, the limits of how much the workers can bring back can further affect the body size and wing shape of male honeybees due to insufficient diet. So this next figure I have shows another control and another stressor group. And it shows that males that emerge from the stressor, which are colonies reared at 33 degrees Celsius, showed to be significantly smaller than those reared at optimal temperatures. So in 2022, a study was conducted between commercial hives and wild honeybee hives regarding the relationship between specific temperatures and the foraging trips that were taken amongst both hives. One set of hives, both commercial and wild, were set at 27 degrees Celsius, which is optimal temperature, and the other set of hives was set at 33 degrees Celsius, or the stressor. Each colony had 25 workers and were observed for visiting time, visiting rate, number of trips per worker, and total number of workers performing each foraging trip. When the results were reviewed and each variable was calculated, honeybees had a longer visit time at 27 degrees Celsius than in comparison to those exposed to the control 33 degrees Celsius, which is shown in that bottom figure. Along with this, 41 commercial workers made 134 trips, and 16 workers from the wild made 35 trips at ideal temperatures. In the same comparison, only 4 commercial workers made 35 trips, and there were no trips recorded for the wild hive set at 33 degrees Celsius. And that is what's being shown in our pie chart above. So with all of that calculated, it came out to around 82% of foraging activity was set at optimal rates. So coming to our final thoughts, if the climate continues to waver at such extremes, the honeybee species as a whole have the possibility to either be slow to adapt or to cease to exist entirely. While it may sound drastic, it's not impossible to happen. With the observations and research studies that are being created, helping the species continue to adapt and evaluate the results of conducted studies gives a greater advantage to keep the Apis mellifera population rising. So, what is the significance of all of this? It's really because honeybee foraging is vital for not only the function and survival of the hive and their population, but also to us humans, as it directly supports the pollination of the crops we rely on for food ourselves. Without bees collecting nectar and pollen, essential foods such as fruits, vegetables, and nuts would become scarce and expensive. Their foraging activity ensures food security and agricultural productivity, further solidifying honeybees' importance to our ecosystems and human well-being. And there are my cited sources. Thank you so much for listening to my topic today.